Howdy fellow model railroaders, my name is Kevin Brown and I want to thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. In this episode I want to go over the expansion of my freight car system, my car card waybill forwarding system. My layout has expanded quite a bit where there's a lot more possibilities, and I thought I'd take this time to upgrade everything and show how that was done in case anybody who's watching would be interested in trying this sort of a system for their own layout. So that's going to be the biggie. But before I get to that, I have the opportunity to review a couple actually, of new bulkhead flat freight cars from Athearn in N scale. So I'd like to get down to that first. So stay tuned. The people at Athearn and Horizon Hobby were kind enough to send me two examples of the brand new Athearn 53-foot bulkhead flat car. They're very nice models. Pick one up and show. The detail on the lettering, if I can focus on it, is impressive. They're very weighty. They're die-cast metal pretty much throughout, and they seem to, put it back on the track very well going through switches and that. A very nice model. I went looking through all of my pictures. This one here is a Illinois Central Gulf, and I've took a lot of pictures of this stuff over the years. And the second one is Union Pacific. I couldn't find any specific pictures either online or in my collection of the exact prototype, but they seem to be lettered exactly like other things, very close to it in number. So all in all, very nice models. I very much recommend them, and I'm really glad that Athearn is getting into the game. They've always done great stuff for HO, and we can always use more people helping out with products for N scale. What's going to happen eventually is I will be doing reviews of Athearn products, and you'll actually be able to order those if you find them interesting straight through my video. I haven't got that set up yet, and it's going to take me a while. There's a lot of paperwork to fill out, but that could be quite convenient. And like I say, what I've seen of the Athearn stuff so far, I like quite a lot, including these two cars. And now spend some time going over the changes to my operating system. One last thing, I wanted to point out that Athearn has their own YouTube channel, Athearn Model Trains, and they have their program Train Tuesdays at 3:30 p.m. Central, and it's actually hosted by a friend of mine, Jim Wiggin. So you might want to check that out as well and see the different products that they're bringing both to now to N scale and also HO. Before I get too far, I'd like to go into how my freight car forwarding system works currently and how I want to expand it. My layout has two sources of traffic. The P&N junction behind me right here, and the northbound freight on the staging yard on the other side of the wall. Basically, those are the only two ways cars come in and off of the layout. It's a very simple scheme, and it worked out. All I did was adapt what I had on my much smaller incarnation of this layout, just brought it over here and started running it. What I want to do is expand from that and add a third source of traffic, which would be the southbound freight, with the eye towards eventually adding be two more through freight trains and a yard job. So it's a pretty complicated thing when it's all said and done. I'm all for doing this one step at a time. So the next step is integrating the southbound freight as a way to bring traffic on the layout, and also make sure more traffic goes through the yard, which I've just finished, so that there'll be switching opportunities there, not only industrial but also classification. So that's where I'm at. That's where I want to be. So right now I'll take a quick look at the freight car forwarding system, the car card waybill system that I've been using in some depth, and how I want to change it. Specifically, going from a 2-position waybill to the 4-position waybill. So that's next. Okay, here's the system as I have it installed currently on my layout. Obviously, there's a car, and each car has a card that's assigned to it, which has a pocket which holds the waybill. On a 2-position waybill, you actually get 3 positions out of it. The first part of the waybill, you set it in there in the pocket, and it says it needs this car, 40-foot box car, New York Central, needs to go to Rapid Recycle at Brownsville. That means this operating session, or for lack of a better term, day, that's what its move is going to be. Go to the, via the local, the Rapid Recycle. After the day is done, you advance the waybills so that the next operating session, it simply stays, holds at its industry. That gives it time, I think gives it time to unload, load, whatever, and more importantly, it kind of makes more freight cars in positions at the industries, and it also makes something you have to kind of switch around sometimes. So I think it adds quite a lot of interest there. And then, again, end of the operating session, you pull the cart out, you've done your 2 positions on it, and it says return to the P&N junction. That's its third move, so on the third, that's what it'll do. So that's the system as it exists. Now I want to show you how I want to change that around to include more, to include the yard. Might as well add right now, this system, the 2-position waybill, works very well. And so well, in fact, I don't think I'm going to change what I do on the P&N junction. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. That way it'll have cars going back and forth from that source of traffic all over the layout. And I think that should work out real good. Then what I do want to do is change to have interchange between the two freight trains and through the yard. So this is what I came up with. Stay tuned. So there's a different car card, and the new freight waybill system. This is actually the waybills that come with the MicroMark starter set. I recommend that set tremendously. It's kept me going. The quality of the stuff is amazing. But anyway, I digress. So now, instead of 2-position waybill, I have a 4-position waybill. On the first day, the local will take that car to Acme in Brownsville. Then you cycle the waybill over between sessions, and it still says hold. I like the hold option. I think that's a nice thing. And then for the third, on the third day, the local will take this car back to Blair Yard, where it will be classified. And on the fourth day, it'll join the northbound freight. And once that's done, you remove the cart for the 5th day. It returns back to Blair Yard and is ready for the next time a waybill gets dealt to it. So I think that's a pretty good compromise. I think that'll get quite a few cars through the yard and also integrate the north and south freight. One other quick note, though I don't plan on using it this way, another way to use the 4-position waybill is to never have the waybill leave the car. They're always together. There's no return when empty, none of that. So basically, you just continue to cycle this waybill through for this card forever. The advantage is it really makes it much, much easier to set things up after a run session. You just have to advance the bill. You don't have to deal new bills out at the yard. The disadvantage in my mind is that you get 4 unique operating sessions, and on a 5th session, you repeat everything. You start all over again. A lot of big layouts have been using this system for years, and most of the people say that they don't notice that it repeats. I think I'd notice, and I don't have a big layout anyway. So that's why I plan on using a 5 positions essentially. But again, I just want to note that you can just keep the waybill with the freight car forever, and it makes it easier to recycle. So now I'd like to go over some of the paperwork I went through to try and figure out how many waybills I need and how many freight cars I need. Here's some of the hen scratching I went through to try and come up with how many waybills I need, how much I need just to make the system work. The top section here goes through and shows if I were to set up this system how many waybills I would need to make sure that it continues to recycle. And I came up with a minimum number of 12 waybills for both the northbound and the southbound train. It's important to me to keep the waybills separated between northbound and southbound. The siding lengths are very fixed, and I don't want to accidentally load one train up with a whole lot of cars that it won't fit in the siding. So basically, if I keep these waybills segregated by northbound and southbound, it'll solve a few problems. And down here is just a more graphic representation of how each waybill used to be and will be now with the 4 position. So I'm hoping this will all work out. I think so. Now come time to figure out how many waybills I can make. And this piece of paper shows that better. Now I try and create a waybill for each spot that'll hold a 50-foot car. That way I know that I don't have more waybills than I have room at the industries. So as you can see, I have 4 destinations: Blair Yard, Minneapolis, Thomasboro, Brownsville. Each one, oddly enough, has 4 industries. The ones at Blair Yard have not been named yet. In fact, I don't know what they're going to be yet, but I do know how big their spots are. So I figured out how many waybills total, based on the number of 50-foot boxcars or whatever 50-foot cars that could be spotted there. And I came up with a number of 41 total spots on the industries. That worked out pretty good. The P&N Junction, I changed slightly, but they stuck with 13 waybills. That's what they had before. That would be in this column. And north and south, therefore, could have 14 waybills, which is 2 more than the minimum. And if I add 2 blanks, which I put in there like I have before, that means I have even more, so that should be sufficient. I put the blanks in so that it's not always so many cars, 3 cars, 4 cars coming out. There's some variability in it. So that's just me. I don't like it being all predictable. And so that means that's how many waybills I need to make, 14 for each. And this never got done well. I'm severely limited to how long my freight trains can be. In the yard, on the arrival track, there's a limit of about 10 cars plus a caboose. And I want to put a track cleaning car in with each, which comes down to 9 cars with each train. We'll get in a little closer. So it shows that there will be 3 of those will come from this cycle's waybills from the yard, and that also leaves cars up here, 6 cars that can be used as interchange cars eventually with the next batch. That's when my looking ahead. So for the moment, there will be 6 cars in each freight train that don't do anything, and 3 cars that get switched out all the time. That also means minimum I need 6 cars in the yard so they can have those 6 waybills dealt out to them, and a grand total of 6 cars from each freight train in the industries. So lo and behold, I need at least 38 cars. That's a lot of cars. I dug through everything I could find, and it looks like I've got more than enough. So next I'll show you the changes I had to do to the yard and various boxes, along with show you the waybills and show you where I'm at right now. The biggest changes to Blair Yard is I've had to hang boxes now for car cards. Each yard track has a numbered box, as well as the arrival departure yard and the 4 new industries, which I just called BY1 to BY4. Also required changing this a little bit, and this shows the new north waybills and south waybills, and I have to deal 3 each operating session. And up here you can see some of the little labels I put in, BY4 of the new industries. Again, I don't know what's going to go in there, but at least I can start switching it. And here's all the cars I dug up to try and stretch out what I have been using to fill everything. Some of these cars haven't seen the light of day in decades. I grabbed everything I could find that had a microtrains truck on it, and we'll see how it all runs. So those are the big changes. So next it's a matter of setting all this up and getting it running and see how it works. Okay, I've went ahead and cycled all the waybills, put everything where it's supposed to go, and I've sorted all the cars in the yard. So by and large, I'm ready to start this thing out. You see there's industry cars scattered around the industries, more waybills, more cards. And over here, I have my 2 freight trains. The northbound and southbound freights. This is what's going to be back in the staging yard next. For the moment, this train's going to have to stick with BNSF power, a little bit outside of my period. I have 2 wonderful GM&O Jeep 35s waiting for decoders, and they're still waiting for decoders. So once that's done, I'm going to replace that. And something else I did, it's hard to tell here, I built another track cleaning car. You can see the pad down here that rides along the rails. These are all, I got this online through eBay, A-line, N-scale track shiner pad kit. I doubt I had a half an hour into building this car. It's pretty simple. It's a matter of taking the shell off. That took more time than anything else. And drilling 2 holes of the right diameter and distance through the bottom of the chassis for the nails that go up through the pad and make sure it can float, plus an extra weight so it'll do a little good. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I'm curious to see if this will having a cleaner car on each train will reduce my amount of time I have to scrub the main line. So we'll see how that all works out. So that's all there is to it. The layout is ready to operate, and we'll see how this all works out. So that's where I'm at on my freight car forwarding system. I believe in incremental improvements. It's all in all, it can be a pretty complex thing to sit down to. I just want to make sure that the cars move around the layout in a realistic manner. Things that can be improved upon or added to. Currently, all my industries get any kind of car that comes up randomly. So sometimes you get some rather interesting things like a pulpwood car showing up at an industry. I have no idea why they need it. I don't ask questions. So I could put something more specific in that eventually. There's also a option to have internal traffic, like something that would start on one part of my layout at a factory or an industry and would then be shipped to another factory on the layout. And I don't think I'll probably do that, but that's a common thing people do with this system. For example, from a coal mine to a power plant and that sort of stuff. So there's plenty of stuff to do yet on the freight car forwarding system. We'll see where things lead me to. But I think this video is getting kind of long, so rather than go into the specifics to show how this works, I want to use my next video will be, for lack of a better term, a day in the life of the Brownsville Terminal Railroad. I'll go through and do a whole operating session, which would be, all 9 trains, and highlight the local and the use of the car card system, and also, of course, show off the sequential train list that I've been using. So yeah, that'll be that way I can show how all this stuff works in the greater whole. At this point during my videos, I usually talk about the N-scale of Bloomington normal and what's going on there, and really nothing, I'm afraid. I don't remember if I mentioned this last time. We had planned on getting together and doing another little fun run meet, but with the virus being where it is and everybody being kind of down with the passing of Omar, we just didn't have it in us. So for the moment, we're just going to hang out, and there will be other opportunities, hopefully nicer weather, so we can spend some time outside. So that's kind of where that's at. So that's kind of all I've got today. As always, if you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time.